Hi everyone, it's Amity. Welcome back to another video. Happy New Year's. Technically when I'm filming this it is still December, but by the time you're seeing this it will be 2024, so let me know how the future's going. I apologize if I sound and look a little gross. I am sick at the moment, but I did still want to keep filming and keeping content going out for you guys, so we are doing something a little different today. It is another tier list. But we are going to be ranking all the games that I played as of 2023. So for those of you who aren't familiar, over on my TikTok at the end of every month, I do a series called All the Games I Played, where we go over all the games I played for the first time on my Twitch channel, and I give them all a ranking and let you guys know my thoughts on them. And I thought it would be fun to compile all of these and do a giant tier list ranking all of the games against each other to find out what my definitive favourite and least favourite games of the year were. So without further ado, let's get started. Alright, so we have our tier list here. The lowest I gave any games was a 5 out of 10, so we've just done 10 to 5. We are going to be starting from the top and working our way down. There were two games to get a 10 out of 10 from me, and that is the Dead Space remake and the original Pokemon Snap. I feel like I do have to put Dead Space ahead of Pokemon Snap, just because arguably it's a better game. Obviously it's a lot newer, it has a lot more going on with it than Pokemon Snap does. But I really loved Pokemon Snap, honestly. I played the remake and it just doesn't stand up to this original. I had so much fun with it. There's so many little secrets and replayability. But Dead Space remake, I just loved so much. I think it is the standard that all remakes should be held to, honestly. It's made, in my opinion at least, the original pretty much obsolete. This was also the first time I'd ever actually gone and done a New Game Plus on a game. I went through and I played it again off stream after we had finished it, just because I loved it that much. Next is 9 out of 10. We had Bramble the Mountain King, Layers of Fear remake, Pokemon Scarlet base game, Resident Evil 4 remake, Power Wash Simulator, and Silent Hill 2 from the HD collection, but I'm just going to be ranking it as Silent Hill 2 because I haven't actually played the original. These, I think Power Wash I'm going to put at the bottom. It was really fun, but I only actually played it the once, so I feel like I can't really put it any higher than that. Pokemon Scarlet I think I'm going to put next. Obviously, I love Pokemon. I love Scarlet and Violet. I haven't had this much fun with Pokemon games in a very long time, if we're being honest. But obviously it was very buggy and very glitchy, and it still is, to be quite honest. So up against the rest of these games, I don't think it handles as well. Next, I'm going to do the Layers of Fear remake. Again, I think the original is pretty much obsolete now. I love that they combined it all into one game. They even added a new story, the musician story, so you get to see everything from the eyes of the father, the daughter, and the mother now, which I think is really nice. The reason it didn't get a 10 is because I didn't feel like the musician story was as fleshed out as the other two, but I still really enjoyed it. Next, I'm going to put Bramble. I loved Bramble. This I also replayed again almost immediately after I finished it on stream, just because I loved it so much. I think more people need to play this, honestly. I don't think it was talked about enough. It was an amazing game. Only thing keeping it from a 10 was the trial and error of some of the boss battles and the platforming sections. Not a fault of the game, just a fault of the genre, and I don't play this sort of game much, so that's completely on me. Between Resident Evil 4 Remake and Silent Hill 2, I'm gonna put Silent Hill 2 above Resident Evil. Just because Resident Evil 4 Remake, I love. It is tied for my favorite Resident Evil game so far now, along with the 2 remake. My only complaint with it is the animation frames. I think they're too long. There's a lot of times where you can get very easily stun locked and stuck because of the animations taking too long and you not being able to defend yourself, and that did cause some problems in some sections. Silent Hill 2, I just love so much. I'm so glad I could finally get to play it. It's one of the only games that's ever left me thinking about it for days after I've finished it. Like, after I ended stream that day of our final episode, I just had to sit and think about it, and I was like, whoa. Next are our 8 out of 10s, which there was definitely the most of. So we're gonna go through these guys. Alice Madness Returns, Doki Doki Literature Club, Fear 1 and Fear Extraction Point, Kirby's Adventure, Kirby's Dream Land 3, Layers of Fear the Original and Layers of Fear 2, Pokemon Legends Arceus, The Quarry, Resident Evil Revelations, Resident Evil 4 Remake Separate Ways DLC, and Silent Hill 3. My favourite out of these, I think, has to be Silent Hill 3. I didn't like it as much as Silent Hill 2, although it did come very close. I don't know, it's just something about it didn't intrigue me as much. I feel like maybe it's because I already knew a lot of the plot twists about it. I wasn't going in as blind as I did with Silent Hill 2, so that could have had an effect. Next, I think I'm going to go Alice. I actually really enjoyed Alice Madness Returns. I was nervous going into it because I'd never played anything like it, and I knew it was kind of a long game, but ended up really, really enjoying myself. The story was actually fantastic, and the gameplay wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. Wasn't as difficult as I thought it was going to be, I should say. Next is going to be Pokemon Legends Arceus. I loved this game so much. We ended up almost 100%ing it just because I never wanted to put it down. So I ended up getting level 10 Pokédex entries. We completed all the requests. I got an entire living dex in the game. But just doing some of the final grinding requests in the Path of Solitude did burn me out of it a little bit near the end, unfortunately. I would love for them to do another Legends game in the future, but I really can't see it happening, if I'm being honest. Next, I'm going to put Doki. Again, I liked this more than I thought I would. I actually really got into it near the end there. And along with Silent Hill 2, it had me thinking about it for like the rest of the week, pretty much. I couldn't get it off my mind. I was telling everyone I knew about it. Next is going to be Layers of Fear and Layers of Fear 2. Again, Layers of Fear I feel like is kind of obsolete now because of the remake. And I did enjoy it a little bit more than Layers of Fear 2. The story felt a little bit cleaner to me. But also the mannequins in number 2 were very creepy. Next, I'm going to put, I think, Resident Evil Revelations. For a side story, I actually think it was really fun. The final boss was really tricky, but I had a lot of fun with it, and I think more people need to play this one as well. I don't hear enough people talking about Revelations. Next, I'm going to do The Quarry. I think I still prefer Until Dawn to The Quarry. It was almost a little too dialogue heavy. I feel like I was just in cutscenes and talking more time than I was actually walking around and looking at stuff. But I did like the story in it. Resident Evil 4 Separate Ways is going to go after that for me. I liked it, obviously. It's just the final boss battle was so fucking hard. I think I racked up a good 30 or 40 deaths in the final boss battle alone. The problem with the animations lasting too long definitely came to show with the DLC, and so that's brought it down quite a bit. Next, I'm gonna put the Fear games. Fear 1 is, I think, still my favorite out of all of the Fear games, if I'm being honest. Extraction Point was fun, just not as memorable as the first Fear. I don't think a lot of the spooks held up on me, unfortunately, since it is just a bit of an older game, but I did really enjoy it. And then we have the Kirby's. Kirby's Adventure I preferred just a little bit over Kirby's Dream Land 3. It got half a point more than Dream Land 3 did in my TikTok ranking. I Really liked the animal friends from Dreamland 3. I liked the watercolor aesthetic. I thought it was really cute. But Kirby's Adventure, I liked the abilities in. The sword power-up pretty much swept us through the game. It was kind of insane. But both of these I really enjoyed. Also, Fear Reborn was supposed to be in here, so I'm just going to slip that in with the other Fear games. Next are our 7 out of 10, so there's Callisto Protocol, Dead Space 2, Kirby's Dream Land 2, Pokemon Indigo Disc, Quake 2, Resident Evil 4 Original, Silent Hill 2 Born from a Wish, Fear 2, and Fear Perseus Mandate. Now you'll notice a lot of these are sequels, which I think makes sense. I liked them all, I just didn't like them as much as their originals. So at the start, we're going to put Pokemon Indigo Disc. I'm loving this DLC. I'm having so much fun with it. I'm still actively playing it as we speak. My main issues with it are obviously buggy, but that's a given. The legendaries are shiny locked, which is very unfortunate. And a lot of the unlockables you can actually get are tied behind multiplayer, which I think is a little unfair for people who don't have access to that, not being able to enjoy the game to its fullest. But I'm having a lot of fun with it. I do think it's definitely worth the money. Next, I'm going to put Resident Evil 4 Original. I do think it's kind of obsolete now that the remake's out. I can't see myself going back and playing the original in favor of the remake, but obviously we can't discredit what it did, and it is still a very fun game. I enjoyed playing it for the first time. Next is going to be Born from a Wish. Now this is a little side story from Silent Hill 2. You play as Maria before she gets to Silent Hill and meets James. I think it was fun. It was very, very short though. I finished it about an hour and a half, so I would have liked a little bit more from it. And I still don't think it fleshed out her character as much as I would have liked. Next is going to be, I think, Dreamland 2. I really enjoyed the animal friends. I think that was a super cute touch. They were kind of hard to use along with the power-ups. Took a little bit of getting used to, but definitely an upgrade from Dreamland 1. Next is going to be Dead Space 2. For whatever reason, I couldn't get into it as much as the first Dead Space, even though I feel like the story was done a bit better. My main gripe with it is that it was really hard. Not all the time, but chapter 14, just before the end of the game, made me rage so fucking hard. I think that chapter by itself is stopping me from ever wanting to go back and play this again, which is kind of unfortunate. Next, I'm going to put Quake, Fear 2, and Perseus Mandate all together, because they kind of feel the same to me. In that they were still fun, I still liked them, but they were all a lot more difficult than their previous versions were. And then we have Callisto Protocol. Now, at the time, when I ranked Callisto, it was like the first game we played in 2023, or one of the first. 7 was the lowest I'd ranked any game. If I could go back, I would probably give it a 5. But we're going to stick true to the TikTok rankings. Unfortunately, I really wanted to like Callisto, given that it was like a Dead Space cross Resident Evil situation. But I just had a lot of problems with it. I don't know if it's because I played on launch or not. It had so many issues. The animation frame problem that Resident Evil 4 has is 10 times worse with Callisto. I got sunlocked into a death so many times where I just simply couldn't defend myself or move out of the way. And the dodge mechanic as well is cool in theory, but since it's tied to the movement joystick, a lot of the time when I'd be trying to run past an enemy, I'd end up just dodging into them instead, which is very unfortunate. Next to our 6 out of 10s, we have Layers of Fear Remake The Director's Story, Pokemon Stadium, and Turok. We're starting with Pokemon Stadium at the top. The reason it's ranked so low is because it was a really fucking hard game. I did not think it would be that difficult, but a lot of the rental Pokemon do not have very good movesets at all. And they are not kidding about the like champion cups and things. They are very hard. Next is going to be Layers of Fear. Now I'm ranking Director Story separate from the main game because it released separately. It was a free added chapter, which of course I appreciate. Can't say no to something free, but you can tell it didn't have as much thought put into it. Again, was only like an hour and a half long, so very, very quick, but there's no multiple endings or anything. It's just a one and done kind of situation, which, considering all of the other stories had at least 2 to 3 different endings, is kind of disappointing. And then next was Turok. The issue with Turok is that I loved it until I didn't. The map is impossible. It is useless, basically. I cannot navigate with that thing. And there came a point where I just got so lost and could not work out where to go that we had to stop playing the game, and we never actually finished it, which is why it's so low. And then the 5 out of 10s are Pokemon Teal Mask, Kirby's Dream Land 1, Amnesia the Dark Descent, and Amnesia Justine. So the Teal Mask is going first. The reason it's ranked so low is just because of its lack of content, honestly. You can tell that they were holding out their money for Indigo Disc. Not only is it a very short story, but other than one new Pokemon evolution and the 4 mythical Pokemon, there's no new additions, which is kind of unfortunate. Next is Kirby's Dream Land 1. Obviously, it was the first ever Kirby game to release, so I can't hold too much against it, but it was incredibly difficult. Games back then were not fucking around. There's no way to regain lives or anything, and not really any way to regain health that I could find either. So there came to a point where I had 1 hit point left and 0 lives. And thank God for save states. That is the only way we got through this game. But I was just having to run through like over half of the game with 1 hit point, which was very annoying. And then we have the Amnesia games. Again, I wanted to like Amnesia the Dark Descent so badly. It kind of changed gaming for the era that it was in. It introduced the whole can't fight back system in horror games. But I don't know whether it's because I'm stupid or not. I just couldn't wrap my head around some of the puzzles in this game. They just didn't make a lot of sense to me, if I'm being honest. And it also gave me really bad motion sickness. Now, I don't get motion sickness. I don't think I can name another game that I've actually had a problem with, but I was questioning if I could continue playing it because of the distortion on the screen and the blurriness. It was giving me a lot of problems. Justine, I rank about equally to it. Good story. I wasn't really paying attention to the story in either of these, so that's on me. But just a little bit more of the same. I went into it immediately with a guide. I wouldn't have gotten through either of these without a walkthrough, which is unfortunate. I don't like having to follow walkthroughs, like, almost word for word, but I did have to with these, which is why they're so low. So there we go. These are my rankings for all the games we played in 2023. So you can tell by this, Dead Space Remake is my favorite game of the year. Amnesia Dark Descent was unfortunately my least favorite. But I am super excited for the game lineup we have coming for 2024, so if you want to follow along and see what we play, my Twitch channel is linked in my bio. We play all of these over there, as well as feel free to subscribe to the channel here for some fun little one-shot horror gameplays as well, and of course my TikTok, so you can see my rankings and thoughts on all the games we play month by month as we go along. So thank you all for watching again. Please do let me know what your favourite game of the year was and what your thoughts about my rankings are. But until next time, stay safe, have a wonderful time zone, and goodbye.